Hi guys, welcome back to INFJ Thoughts. Today we are going to talk about INFJ mental health tricks. Before we get started, comment, like, and subscribe, and let's do this. So why do I have to make this video at all in the first place? Because it's important to note these things. INFJ mental health, psychological terms, therapy type stuff is kind of all vaguely, relevantly referenced, sort of, in a lot of self-development content, in a lot of INFJ content, in a lot of Myers-Briggs typology content in general that's on YouTube and on the internet. Of course, like, not all the MBTI people are also psychologists. A lot of us are not. And so, like, obviously we're not talking about these things with, like, real authority in the same way that a psychologist has. So it's important to talk about these things because INFJs because they're always vaguely referenced, so it's important to point these things out in isolation. And secondly, it's important to talk about these things because INFJs are all about, when we develop, we're all about extroverted sensing. And so kind of how I think it works is that, like, with the average therapy patient in therapy, they might need a lot of, like, delving into their, like, personal, psychological, emotional experiences. The INFJ, obviously, everybody needs to delve into those things to understand, like, who we are and stuff. But, like, the INFJ, our therapist might realize over many sessions that the INFJ does, like, everybody goes to therapy to delve inward, right? But then we also need to delve outward. Like, things like apply for better apartments, apply for jobs, send out resumes, get used to, like, paying your bills. Like, all of these extroverted thinking things and extroverted sensing things are where the INFJ needs to develop. And so, in therapy, it can be kind of like, it can take a while for a therapist to feel us out and realize that, okay, we need to obviously we need to delve into ourselves, but also need to help this person to achieve something tangible. And this is where maybe the INFJ could differ from another patient who might have a lot of trouble delving into themselves, and who, there's many ways, like, a patient might have experienced challenges talking about themselves, and INFJs also have challenges talking about our own selves. We have a different way of, it's like talking about SE things, like maybe the INFJ talking about why we're afraid to go hiking or why we're afraid to go scuba diving. That would be an example of something we're afraid to talk about, right? But then for someone else, they're afraid to talk about, like, a relationship. Whereas INFJs and ENFJs and NFs like to analyze how we feel about relationships. So that's where it can be like, a therapist has to really feel out the INFJ. And so, without further ado, how do INFJs benefit from these basic techniques that we learn in therapy? So, the first technique we're going to talk about is meditation. So how does an INFJ benefit from meditation? So maybe, I guess we're going to have to use a lot of comparisons just to sort of make these points. But for another personality type, they might be go, 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 always socializing, always going out doing the next best thing, the next most fun thing, always traveling, always extroverting. Or even introverts. There are introverts who like to travel a lot. There's people who, extrovert, introvert, doesn't matter. Some people live just more externalized lifestyles where, like, everything they post on social media, or they have a zillion friends, whatever. And so for that person, kind of like quieting down their mind to meditate and to have Zen and to clear their mind. For the INFJ, it is a little bit different. The INFJ might always be watching Netflix, or might stay at home listening to music, or just chill out and draw, or just chill out and eat snacks. The INFJ might be a homebody, but the INFJ still has key benefits from meditation. The INFJ benefits from obviously the universal things that meditation has to offer, which is controlling body responses. So our body has responses to all the stimuli around us, whether they're obvious responses like extroverted thinking and introverted feeling, or they're less obvious, like introverted feeling can be less obvious at times, or introverted thinking can, they kind of can filter their reactions a little bit. But controlling body responses, and what do I mean like that? So, like, when you meditate, you focus on your breath and you get all zen and you clear your mind. And you start to understand like that when you breathe, you can like, and you release tension, you can gain like a sense of agency and control over the state of your body, right? And without having meditated, you might just like, when you're nervous, you might shake, or you might get tight chest, or you might like be short of breath, whatever it might be, or you might get really tense. And so meditation helps us to gain a concept of how we can influence our body with like our breath and like releasing tension and all this. The INFJ benefits from this because when we clear our mind of like mental clutter, it allows us to take action. So the INFJ isn't traveling the world all the time. We're not like hanging out with friends necessarily all the time. But like before we start our INFJ journey, like back like long ago, like when INFJs are right at the beginning, the INFJs tend to be hung up on people, and we tend to think about them a lot. And so meditation helps to calm our mind. And, you know, we're not running all over the world all the time, but our mind can be always imagining things, which can be a form of like we're running all over our imagination, right? And so for that lens, the INFJ benefits from, you know, calming our mind, clearing our mind, and then on top of that, controlling our body's responses. We also benefit from body scans. Body scans, you scan your whole body, you feel your whole body, you become more aware of how like your hands feel and your whole body feels when you have tension versus when you're relaxed, when you're tired, when you're hungry. All of these basic body reactions. The INFJs with our 8th function, introverted sensing, can tend to just want to ignore sometimes. That's the other benefit from meditation. And I'm not a psychologist, so I don't know all the benefits of meditation. There's a million things, like ways, angles that you could talk about meditation from. The next benefit I would talk about would be mindfulness. Mindfulness is like achieved in meditation, but it's worth mentioning on its own. So the INFJ is stuck in the future and in the past. We always talk about the future because introverted intuition is future oriented, it's goal focused. But INFJs, we have 8th function introverted sensing, so we can have like kind of like flashbacks. Everybody has flashbacks, I think. But like INFJs, we can get hung up on the past. Introverted intuition can get hung up on the past, like an INFJ, like overthinking every detail about a past like relationship. That can be introverted sensing, or an INFJ wishing someone would be our friend again or something. That could be introverted intuition. And so, but from these ways, the INFJ is stuck in the future, we're stuck in the past. And mindfulness helps us come into the present. That like, I always use this example, like years ago, I was in my bedroom and I was like, oh, I wish this person would be my friend again. And then I realized, I like looked around my bedroom, I was like, no, I wish I cared enough about myself to do my own dang laundry. And so this is where the INFJ, the mindfulness to come into our own presence and our own surroundings and realize, okay, you know, my NI wants to think about this and daydream about that, but like really I need to take action in the here and now. That's kind of mindfulness. And there's many, like mindfulness also, like when you achieve mindfulness, when you are like fully in touch with your body, you're like, I've heard that like your brain can release oxytocin, which is like a super positive hormone. And then that can help you like get over trauma bonds. Cause like when you're trauma bonded to someone, you like feel like they give you happiness, but like really we want to be in control is so like, we want to feel like we have agency over our body and over our happiness. And that's what mindfulness gives us. Next is affirmations. So affirmations can help the INFJ understand introverted intuition and extroverted sensing, because when you give an affirmation, it can be lofty, just like introverted intuition. It can be lofty and ideal. It can be something like, I am worthy of love. That's really ideal. That's any like psychologist or any sort of person. I think like a lot of people who are read up on these things might understand that someone truly thinking that they're worthy of love 100% all the time, it might be a little bit lofty. And so the INFJ, that's like the lofty introverted intuition. So then the extroverted sensing is the bridge statement, which would be like, I acknowledge that sometimes I am valuable to those around me, which does not sound as pretty as I'm worthy of love. But it is something to get us open to the possibility. It's like taking that first baby step towards this emotional truth that we are worthy of love. And then I guess like the benefit of this affirmation would be like kind of saying like, okay, I am worthy of acknowledging that I want to do my own laundry, that I want to water my own grass, that I want to take care of myself, instead of imagining that this person would be my friend, or instead of always focusing on this other friend's needs where it's like a unbalanced relationship, right? That's how affirmations benefit us. The next is journaling. Journaling was like journaling, like I felt like was a very important bridge between like where I was and then where I was like a while ago. Like went on a total journaling spree, and journaling really, it really builds up your introverted thinking. You start to think through things and you start to see things more clearly. When you're around TP types, they always have an understanding that like of how people are treating them. And when we journal and we really, because when you journal, you're forced to write down like how you feel, the facts. You have to write the story. And so our extroverted feeling might say something like, oh, like I wish they would be my friend again. But then when you write down what happened, you realize, okay, this person like never called me, they never initiated interaction. Whenever they did hang out with me, they only wanted XYZ. And so when you have to write it down, you have to like be honest with yourself. Unless like I feel like it would be difficult to write down untrue things. I don't know, but like you have to be honest with yourself. And when you see it in front of you, you realize like, oh, like I've been telling myself this person is so great, but then I wrote it down and it's like, oh, they actually treat me bad. And then that's when your TI strengthens. Introverted thinking is all about because TPs have high introverted thinking, low extroverted feeling. Their extroverted feeling does not have a stamina for like flakiness or for dismissing one's ideas that extroverted feeling FJs do. That auxiliary and dominant extroverted feeling. You know, you flake on an FJ, you dismiss their ideas, you like, you know, those things. The FJ has a stamina for that. TPs don't. They hate that because they have low extroverted feeling and their introverted thinking is always cataloging how people are treating them. So journaling helps develop this skill of understanding how we're being treated instead of just saying, oh, there's good in them. Well, if there's really good in them and they're choosing to treat you this way, then maybe we are, instead of saying we're delusional about someone liking us, we're actually delusional about how nice people are. And then, let's see. And then we understand like the SE denial of how a baby step feels to us. Because when we journal, like let's say we journaled and we wrote down a to-do list. When we write down the to-do list, we kind of have to come to terms with what we're capable of. And so the most beneficial to-do lists, in my opinion, are to-do lists that are easy to accomplish. So writing down the most mundane, easy tasks that you have to do and then accomplishing those gives you a sense of accomplishments and makes you understand that you're not going to be an Olympic figure skater. And it's not about putting yourself down. It's about, if I want to be someone who shows up for myself, I have to come up with goals for myself that matter, that are achievable, and that meet my own needs. And I promise these small goals, there are plenty of small goals in our lives that we can set to meet for ourselves that are scary. We don't have to go out and be a pop star to overcome our limiting beliefs. We can overcome we can be afraid of so many things. We can be afraid to make our bed. We can be afraid of like going and getting the mail. I don't know. And for INFJs, it tends to be these tedious extroverted thinking things. Then let's see. When we process through our introverted feelings with journaling, when we process through what we're doing, we understand like how powerless we are in those situations. Like we are like, okay, I can't make this person be my friend. What do I do? Well, I can love myself, right? How do I love myself? Well, I can't like get 1 million Instagram followers. I can make my bed though, right? So these are not, and I'm not saying this is how it has to be. We all like go for those 1 million Instagram followers. In fact, INFJs, we need to understand that we value things like having a lot of Instagram followers. But, you know, I forgot what I was saying. But, you know, the key is to understand that we have agency in what we have. And then once we have agency, then we feel comfortable enough to push ourselves to say, oh, I want a few YouTube subscribers actually. Like I always told myself it didn't matter, but you know, it does. Okay, then we learn about ourselves, and then really INFJs, we like to unravel things. And once as an INFJ, you realize that you are your own mystery. Because like what happened? That person was mean to you and you got really excited about trying to figure them out so that you hoped you could win them over, right? And so INFJs, once we start trying to unravel ourselves and we start analyzing the things in us that are different and trying to understand how we are, that can be just as stimulating as trying to understand the other person. Except when you try to understand yourself, there's a payoff. You actually can understand yourself, and then you can go do those dishes. You can go do that laundry. You can go write that paragraph. You can make that to-do list. You can read that book, right? There's a payoff when we invest in ourselves. There's no payoff when we try to understand another person's problem. There can be, but like the real payoffs come when you invest in learning about yourself and someone else sees you do that and they get inspired to learn about themselves. That's a real payoff. Then the most obvious one, oh my goodness. So all of these that I've listed so far are things that INFJs kind of are already into. INFJs, we like confidence, what did I just say? INFJs, we like calmness. We like to learn about ourselves. We're homebodies. We probably like to watch psychological videos. INFJs I know who are religious are all about understanding like the higher religious truths in their religion. They really like want to be a good person and all this. And so INFJs were naturally about those inner things, right? One of the obvious things in therapy that, a therapist might take a while to realize that we introspect a lot more than maybe the average person, where one thing that's obvious is like boundaries with the INFJ. And everybody's boundaries manifest differently. Like someone can be highly confrontational and have bad boundaries. Someone can be non-confrontational and have bad boundaries. Really, boundaries are not related to confrontation, because someone can be confrontational over a bunch of little things and really let people walk all over them on some big things. And then like, whatever. So, but I statements are about setting boundaries with other people, and they set boundaries from a place of the internal locus of control, which the INFJs have a weak internal locus of control because we have lower introverted thinking and we have shadow introverted feeling. And also the I statement helps take out the question of, are they a good person or are they a bad person? I statements clear all that away and say, okay, I don't know what type of person I'm dealing with. Like, or it's like, I don't have to understand what type of person I'm dealing with, but in my life, I don't allow X behavior, right? And you can like look up an I statement and read through it. It's like something like, I feel bad when you call me stupid, so in order to feel good, I need you to stop calling me stupid, right? And so it's confrontational, it sets boundaries, and it takes out this question that INFJs struggle with, that are they a good person or not? I don't know. And so that is an obvious thing that INFJs, it's really not our strength at all. And so that's an obvious one. I hope y'all like this video, and if you really want to learn about this stuff, go watch psychology videos or go to therapy. Therapy can teach you about it, Okay, I hope y'all like this video. See y'all next time. Thanks.